Welcome back again, you guys. Of course, today the football discussion it continues, and I feel like we're going to be speaking about a serious topic, and I think it's best to really dedicate this entire topic towards him, and that's in regards to Tammy Abraham. I feel like he's becoming the popular scapegoat again for all our issues, all our problems, and it's getting a bit criminal, in my personal opinion. But of course, you guys, before we start to discuss and dive into this debate, I'm joined today by MatisseArmani. What are you saying, bro?
My guy, how you doing? It's good to be back. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to be
Yeah,
chatting footy with you. He's on my channel there a few weeks back, and now it's good to be here. So I know it's going to be an in-depth debate. Let's get into it, my guy.
I appreciate that, man. And before we continue on, you guys, I need to get one quick plug out the way first. Today's video is brought to you by the One Football app. You guys, I recommend you download the app right now. You'll find a link below in the description. It's the best football app on the market, the best, most convenient hub for all things Chelsea news, stats, fixture lists, latest articles, post-match talk, etc, etc, etc. I'm telling you, it's free, it's fast, it's convenient. You'll find a link below in the description. Now we get back to the main discussion today, and you know what? I think we should ease into things very quickly by speaking about some of the controversies in regards to Lampard's game management. Now, in the game yesterday, did you feel like there was a bit of an issue in regards to the timing of the substitutions made?
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one because a 0-0 against Tottenham, who obviously at the moment are top of the league, tied with Liverpool. It's a difficult situation. Now I think this is why, first of all, a lot of managers are calling for five subs, especially at the top end of the Premier League. Not only because they have the
Yeah,
depth, but also because you have to save one sub for the very end. I think because in this messy season where we're having more congested the
yeah,
season's congested and we're playing more games in smaller time frames. You never know, much like Chilwell, who's going to need to come off at the end, who's going to
of
be
course.
hobbling and wobbling, and you don't want to be down to 10 men at any point. So that already takes away one sub until the very end, in my opinion, and then you've got two to play with. And I think I was hoping that he would make one change a little bit earlier. I was hoping he would bring on Giroud, because I could see that a lot of crosses were coming in from the right hand side.
Yeah,
I seen Tammy wasn't taking advantage of a few opportunities coming over there. He wasn't quite getting to them, whether it was the anticipation or just the not understanding, when Rhys is really going to whip it in, or whatever it may be. But I think Giroud, I think what people forget, and obviously we're going to get onto Tammy in a minute, but his frame compared to Giroud frame is completely different.
of course.
People think just because you're tall, you're going to be great at heading. And I said this last season. We had a tall team last season, but defending set pieces, we weren't very good.
Yeah,
We had tall players like Barkley, like Loftus-Cheek, Rudiger, but we wasn't defending very well from set pieces. So it's not just about the height; it's about how you use it. And I think even though
technique every
it's the
time.
technique,
Everything at this
exactly.
level we see that I think we
Yeah.
forget as fans because we're so used to watching like the 1% of ballers playing in the Premier League week in week out.
Yeah.
That's all you ever know. No, we don't watch football in lower leagues to know the levels between lower league football and Prem football. Of course not. So I feel like maybe the criticism can be a little bit unfounded and a bit too harsh at times. And what you're saying is perfectly right. Everything at this level is technique, technique, technique. If you want to be good in the air, you're not just, you're not good in the air because you're tall and big. It's about your timing.
Yeah.
Your timing of your leap. You know how long you're gonna be rising in the air, how you're gonna move into back into the defender to put him off balance, and then how you're gonna use your neck to then direct the ball towards the target. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not an easy skill, and I think obviously we're used to seeing Didier Drogba of old, so maybe we as fans thought it was easy, but what he was doing was an art form.
yeah,
And I think Tammy's very slender. Do you know what I mean? His body's still very quite slim, so I think where Giroud's a little bit, he's fuller. He's a bit bigger
yeah. I
in
mean,
terms
yeah,
of
he's
wider.
massive,
Do you know what I
and
mean?
he's like 11 years older than him too. Like
Yeah,
nearly half.
exactly.
Like Tammy Abraham, like he's literally half on top. So
Yeah, exactly. So,
I get the argument that it could have been beneficial, but at the same time, it wasn't like our strikers were solely just exclusively playing in the books. They were still drifting wide, they were still getting involved in the play, and that's why Lampard uses them over Giroud, in my opinion. But honestly, man, I think probably now is the best time to just tackle this Tammy Abraham debate just straight away. And I mean, for me, I just think some of the criticism is a bit shocking. I think it's a bit disgraceful. I think it's a bit pathetic, if I'm being honest with you. And seeing the same cliche nonsense online on socials, seeing some of these idiots, and I've been doing this YouTube stuff for so many years. I've just got to keep it real and talk real. If you're going to be atting these players with next nonsense because of one performance, you waited for one slip up so you could do that, you're an idiot. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that people, and this is something I try to do, but people don't seem to be able to do this very often, which is criticize in isolation, praise in isolation. And what I mean by that is it's one game. Talk about that game, but then to make sweeping statements that you wouldn't have made a few weeks ago when he was scoring, then for me that's inconsistent. And no one was saying a few weeks ago, oh, Tammy, when he scored against Newcastle, even no one was saying, right, he doesn't belong in the squad, he needs to be sold. Like that for me is over the top. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
Saying that Giroud should have maybe been brought on earlier because Tammy wasn't having the greatest game in the penalty box or something. Like, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? I just think we just sometimes maybe it's because it's Tottenham. I don't know. The emotions have been fired up a lot more. But like I said before the stream started, I think Timo Werner recently form-wise hasn't been good either. He's been missing a lot of chances. He missed probably maybe one of the misses of the season against Rennes. So I think if we're going to speak about Tammy having to come out of the team, which is if you want to make that case, fair enough. But you've also got to speak about Timo Werner out wide. Has he been playing well recently? He probably needs a rest against Rennes. I don't think I'd play him. So I mean, they're two very young forwards, 23, 24. They're both developing still. Both of them still got things to work on in their game. And I think with Tammy, the thing is with Tammy is that he has had such a good output, for what I personally expected when he came back from his loan from Aston Villa. I didn't expect him to be our top goal scorer last season. And then a lot of people, again, this season would not have expected him to even get in the team.
Which surprises me. It really surprises, because I just knew that, of course, he would be. I strongly felt he was most likely going to be our top scorer last season, because I think it's because for me, I'm always going to feel like and I'm like many others as well who actively watch youth games back in those days. You get a deeper understanding of these guys. You see how they've risen, you've seen how they've grown and improved over the years. And for me, man, I think that one of the realities is that as a fan base, when have we ever really had young strikers under 23, 24 leading the line for us? I think, when you're not used to that, you're not used to understanding okay, he's not supposed to be perfect right now, but he's improving slowly on this, he's working on that. He has the potential, which this is how I see development. He's got the potential to unlock these things, to master aspects of his game. And that makes you then become quite sensational, because I'm sorry, but again, I've watched football for many, many years. Every popular striker people love to bring up your Lewandowskis. If you think Lewandowski was playing how he is now back when he was 22, 23, then you never watched him. I can say that for most. Raul Jimenez, the one that people love to bring up to. If you saw this guy fully flopped at Atletico Madrid, it wasn't ready. He went back to Benfica. He was. He really got his chance under Nuno, who's really great at getting the best out of these types of guys. But he's 28, 29 years old. I can go on. Gabriel Jesus is one of a prime example too, but sorry to even interrupt. He's been playing for a long time, but I mean, he's still not super clinical. But you can see that he's getting better slowly in all parts of his game every season. So that's how development is.
Yeah, I think the number 9 position is such a cutthroat position, and I think one thing that I can say from Tammy is that mentally he's got it. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, my whole thing with right now of him is the improvements, because he's improved his build-up play, he's improved his link-up play from what it was when he came from Aston Villa. He still needs to improve his anticipation, his heading ability definitely needs to improve.
That will come.
For 100%. And for me, what I like about him is he's got the mentality to improve. You can see the way he took the 9 shirt, the way he got abused versus Liverpool. He still came back from that. To lead the line for Chelsea at this age, as you said, it's not only is it not the norm, but it's not easy. For me, I'm just interested to see how he develops. I haven't nailed him on to be a starter for the next decade, but he's definitely good enough to be in the squad. I think people, they go over the top with the criticism sometimes. I think if there's no way he doesn't have a place in the team to contribute, that would be over the top. What will define whether he's going to be a starter in the next few years is if he improves on those things that I've mentioned, if he can improve on those things that I've mentioned, because obviously there's another bracket which is like the strikers of like Haaland and players like that. that's like the.
But I mean, but you know,
top
I'm
one.
not gonna lie though. We love to bring up your highlights and stuff. I mean, of course, he's showing some incredible finishes. But I mean, one of the realities is that Dortmund specifically play a super attacking, expansive style of football. Not because not only does that help, obviously, their young players get the goals and stuff, but it's putting them in the market as well, getting them. You know, they also then sell these guys for 70, 80, whatever million. You know what I mean? So I mean, you look at Dortmund; they're very open all the time. And it's no surprise you're going to get the goals playing for a club like that. But I don't know. Again, you know, we can't just use certain outliers like your Haalands and stuff because, you know, these types of guys just come around every now and then.
Of course.
For nearly,
But obviously,
yeah.
because Chelsea will probably be always look to be chased. I mean, striker is a position over even the whole of Drogba's career. Chelsea consistently still try to go into the market. So I think
to our own detriment. Yeah.
Shevchenko, they all Chelsea is a
Wasted
club
all that money.
yeah, they have. Yeah, I mean, but then obviously they had the likes of Diego Costa and Nelka. It's a position that I don't think anyone's going to be able to nail down for their whole career and not get any challenges, because I think they always look to buy in the best strikers in the world. So I think Tammy's ready for that. He's gonna have to be ready for that fight, because regardless, he's gonna have to fight that position
I mean,
to the end.
This is the thing. I mean, all these guys have already been used to competition, and I know that the argument of competition might be different because it's like in the youth academy, but let's not forget that our youth academy had how many ridiculous youth talents who were constantly fighting for position. So it's not like people were just guaranteed first team players without needing to compete. So I bring this point up because our academy is unique. We're not just talking about any academy. We're talking about the best academy with the best everything that's been winning everything all the time. And they've been able to do that due to the mentalities and competition and all these types of things. So, these were never alien to your Mounts, your Tammys, your Rhys's, like a lot of people tend to assume. But for me, I hate the hypocrisy. I hate unfairness in life. That's one thing I'm very against, unfairness. You can't wait for him to have, a game where, he's not taking opportunities. Opportunities are a lot harder than some of the misses I've seen from other strikers throughout the season. And then that's your excuse to then, send hate, to discredit, to, bring his confidence down. Because for me, this is just the massive contradiction in being a fan. Because it doesn't seem, to be a fan, it means you need to have like an acceptance of things with the club, It's not like FIFA or like a football manager where you can tailor the team how you want it to be because you can do X, Y, Z. It's not like that. You need to have a certain degree of acceptance for what's already here. And I just feel like too many don't really have that viewpoint.
It's a patience game, and a lot of people maybe don't have the patience is probably what it is as well. I think if anything, you've seen Mason Mount is a great example. Rhys James, like I've spoken on it so much. Rhys James at a time last season wasn't having a good patch of form after lockdown, and people were very impatient again, and they were like, right, let's get, we should never have sold Lamptey and all this stuff, and it's again a lack of patience. So and if that can happen to Rhys James, for me, who is out of all the youngsters to come through, he is the one that for me was undoubtedly gonna make it. Like I just had no doubts. For me, it was for Mason, it was all about whenever Frank's gonna put him in his normal position, and is he gonna do that in time for us to see Mount the way that I saw him at Vitesse. Thankfully, he's done that. But Rhys James, like he's always for me been our main outlet. But since he's come into the team for chance creation, he's always been the guy that we go to for crosses. So if people could flip on him so quickly like that, then I was like, well, I guess anybody can get it.
Which is really the case, I think, when it comes to like most fans supporting top 4 clubs. Unless it's like the very best player who's getting all the goals and accolades, you can make excuses up, and people will do that forever. Everyone else, your time can come at any point, any time, and I don't know. Sometimes that type of ignorance just kind of gets a little bit draining for me when it's like the same repetition, the same ignorance, the lack of understanding. I don't see any I don't know. It's kind of annoying, and for Tammy, I really don't understand this type of treatment towards him. Towards a guy that he was playing injured for how many months last season to help us get top 4, so we could buy the competition that people were saying that he's going to be too scared to face and isn't going to be good enough to compete against. You know what I mean? It's just this type of unfairness. I'm not here for it, to be honest.
It's been one extreme to the next with Tammy. I think 1 minute it's Tammy, Drogba, Didier Abraham, and next minute it's like he's not good enough to even be in the squad. I
I
think there
know.
needs to be a balance in between. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not Drogba yet, but he's definitely more than warrants a place in the team. And I think the longer that he's been playing more and more, I've understood more and more why he's in the team over Giroud. And I think the
Yeah.
only thing is with Giroud is I would just like to see Giroud brought in off the bench maybe when things aren't going right more often, because we've seen against Rennes how
But
he
what's the
can change
guarantee
things.
that he's guaranteed? Again, but saying against Rennes, you know what I mean? I love Giroud.
Mm.
I've really grown to appreciate this player a lot since he signed for us. I always say from the
Especially I
start,
think after
I had
last season.
reservations. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But let's not act like he's always been super clinical throughout his career. Yes, I know he's exceptional early, but
Mm.
you know what I mean? That's because we're comparing that to his finishing ability with his feet.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And he did have a chance at the end that he should
yeah,
have put it
he
away as
should
well.
have.
And
He
you know,
should
he
have.
didn't get really enough trajectory on the
Yeah,
roll.
yeah.
So
I'm not
you know,
mad at him for that.
I think one thing I've come away from this game thinking that none of our strikers are perfect. You know, Tammy's still developing; he's not the finished product. Werner for me is not a
Still
lone
developing.
forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still
he's still
developing.
developing as well.
Yeah.
And for me, he's not a lone forward or a winger. He's more of a hybrid. And I'm waiting to see, you know, how he adapts to either of those roles that he's playing in, and when we really get the best out of Werner. Because despite the amount of goals he's got, you know, I still don't feel like we're really maximizing him yet. And he probably needs a rest as well. He's been playing a lot of games, and Giroud is not going to run the channels. He's not going to be able to press as intensely as Tammy. So we know why he doesn't always get the game time. So none of our strikers are really perfect. But they've all got goals in them. So you know, it's just for me, you just got to kind of accept it and kind of just roll with the punches, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if again for me, it's all about perspective. If you look at all the best like under 24 strikers, you'd probably say Tammy and Werner right up there with some of the best in Europe. So, you know, I know there's people on my channel. Yeah, I'm quite fortunate that I've got like a community here that I know really love football, watch the game. You know, they really like invest their time into it, and I know they're watching other players, other leagues, you know, they got that perspective of knowing, okay, you know, I'm seeing how, you know, Haaland's doing bits for Dortmund, but it's not like this guy's touch is like super perfect all the time, or you know, he's like doing everything to a perfect ability. Of course not, because he's only 20 years old. So, you know, I like to bring up that point all the time. I can bring up points about all the strikers as well. Your Drogba's, I mean, there's no way in hell Drogba at 23 was able to do anything that he wouldn't have been able to play for us at 22, 23, Drogba. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It really took him until even 27 and 28 to really reach his like peak playing for us. And this is a guy that had more years on Tammy, more experience at the time. So I don't know. I think it's quite sad, and I don't know.
And we've seen so many big money flops come here and not do as well. You know, I think we need to also remember what we've been accustomed to. You're looking at your Higuain's wealth of experience. He couldn't cut it really for us. Morata, wealth of experience at big clubs.
I'd say Torres too. I mean, 100%,
Torres as well. I mean,
100%.
Torres was one of my favourite strikers growing up, but that was in a Liverpool shirt. You know, when he came to Chelsea, it's not the same thing. I know he got that goal against Barcelona, but he definitely didn't deliver. He was good in that run in the Europa League as well when we won it, but he wasn't the Torres that we expected. So anybody who will tell you that he was, you know, they're kind of probably using that Camp Nou goal and that winning of the corner in Munich, because overall in the Premier League he wasn't up to scratch. So, you know, there's so many big names that have come here and not done the business. I think we need to remember a little bit how difficult this role is to play up front at Chelsea. It's not, you know, how many strikers lead the line in the Premier League and do it perfectly. You know, you're Harry Kane. I wouldn't say anybody at Man United does it properly. You know, Man City, Aguero is mostly injured at the moment, so I know Gabriel Jesus isn't doing it. You know, maybe most of the time Pep is leading a false nine. Liverpool, you could certainly say that Firmino hasn't been doing it, and Jota's had to come in. So no one's really, you know, the striker is a very difficult role to play in the modern day. You're involved in play a lot more. You're getting way more touches. You know, you're having to link up play, and you have to be so complete. That unless you're 30 plus, I wouldn't expect you to be complete. Of course. You know? So,
like, look at Cavani too. I mean, we saw those excellent goals he scored for Man United. I mean, what involvement he had. You know, you're not scoring this type of goal when you're like 21 or 22. You know, this is like, wow, you've really perfected your craft, and you know, exactly. So I do hope that, I don't know. I think sometimes when we see like nonsense being spewed online, I feel like people should use their voices more to try and stamp that out, because I do honestly feel that every time it comes down to a vocal minority, to be honest. Every time it's just a vocal minority that let it down for everyone, who have too much of a say and don't really get challenged on anything at all.
For me, I've seen the dark depths of Twitter, and I've seen the way that it's meticulously almost put out.
Yeah.
It's a form of trolling that I just cannot be asked to engage with. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I've got them personally muted, a lot of accounts. And I've seen the way it goes on. You know, people get in group chats and they're like, should we post this? Should we post that? What do you think is going to get a rise? Do you think we'll be able to get a big account attention? It's got to the point where there's not even like a real substance. Sometimes it's actually they're just doing it because they want the reaction, and that's where I'm like, okay, actually no point. When people are posting pictures of injured players and saying the opposite player in that position for competition it's now his time to shine and whatnot, this is where
and there was like that stupid account that made that stupid comp on Tammy Abraham. It's just like when I see that stuff, it just starts with the ignorance, the absolute ignorance. Because do you honestly think that a good performance, everything has to be super perfect? I mean, we saw Tammy attempting things and trying to force good passes that lots of other players were doing and not succeeding. So it's just taken out of context.
Tammy is that sometimes he tries too hard. And so many other strikers in the past where they wouldn't even be involved in some of these plays because they just would not have made the effort.
That's what I mean, because their confidence was so shattered by our fan base and its high expectancies. You're right. I remember seeing evidently your Moraes hiding. We all saw that happen. Torres was another one at times. He wasn't, he wasn't getting back when he was getting minutes for free. He was not getting enough shots on goal at all because he wasn't in those positions. So it's just a bit mad to me. And to be honest, I just think it's systematic with like a lot of things. I feel like the youngers. This is why I don't really care about the trolling too much. My energy on social media has changed a lot. I've taken that bit, breaks away from it at times because I just think and reflect, and I came to the realization, a lot of this is just teens just trolling. And I was a douchey teen when I was young. If you saw me when I was a teenager, I would be doing the same shit as these guys. So thank God I grew out of that real quick. So I got that perspective.
I think there's no real responsibility, on the app because if you're to be honest, if you're anonymous and I can understand why people are, but if you are anonymous and there's no real name, I mean, you have no really responsibility to do anything. Like, who cares? No one can track you. No one knows who you are.
That's what I mean. That's fun when you're young. You can do what you want.
I can't do that. You can see my face. You know my name. You probably know enough about me at this point to trace me if you really want to. So I can't behave in the same way. So I have to treat the platform semi-seriously and try and at least
have some standards,
at least try and have some sort of consistency in some way, shape or form in the way that I act or the way that I carry myself. Do you know what I mean? But that I prefer to do that because you don't get the opportunities to work with the club or do this and do that if you don't do that. So I prefer to try and carry myself to some sort of standard than to do wild shit that some people be doing because it's not worth it for me. It's not worth it.
It's not, because I don't know, like I was even seeing like I saw when some guy was trolling me yesterday, he found some mad photo of me. I was thinking, how the hell did this prick even find this photo of me? Like, what type of snooping? How did he even stumble upon this? And I wasn't even mad, to be honest. I feel like I'm just fully just gone beyond even caring now at this point. I saw Fatty, saw a little bit of moves. I mean, who cares? I don't care. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me.
Especially when you can't see what the other person looks like. It's like, I can't.
Yeah, I don't even care what he looks like, if he looks like a model or not. I just don't care about, being judged like that,
Grown people don't really care about how other grown people look. Do you know what I mean? It's not something. That's very
exactly. What you're saying is so true, man, because I clocked. This is when I even stopped moving mad on social media.
Girlfriends, wives, in committed relationship. Who cares about what a man looks like?
Other man, adults on that platform, they are not tweeting the nonsense of doing X, Y, Z. It's just the youngers, which is it's normal. It's part of growing up, and you go through them phases. We've all done it, all been there. So it's what it is.
delete their account, and then when they're grown, they're gonna come with a new.
That's what I
account.
mean. It's gonna be
They're
hilarious.
gonna look back.
That's the funny
Like, I
thing
don't want
too.
to be associated
Of
with this. I need
course.
to make a new account. I'm not gonna be associated with this guy saying out is typing ratioed in comments. I need to make a new account. They're gonna deactivate and they're
That's
gonna
what
make
I'm
a new
saying.
account with their new personality
course.
because they're grown up now.
No, when they grow up,
And
they're
they're
just gonna have their real name and shit. That's what they're gonna do when they're
Yeah,
grown
yeah.
up. So
Like,
it is what it is. So
I used to be bombastical Batshuayi. Sorry, bro.
bombastical batch, right? Yeah, that's actually so.
I didn't mean to say all those things. When I did that work, I know we've tailed off, but when I did that work with Chelsea, the amount of people that DM me apologizing for calling me this name, calling me that name, slagging off that I make videos. Oh, now we can see why you make videos. I can see that you're trying. Like, obviously, it's got you somewhere. Do you know what I mean? The amount of apologies was ridiculous.
Oh,
obviously, it's DMs, not publicly, but it's incredible. It's incredible.
It is. I feel like, you know, for me, when I use social media and stuff, I just will write to accounts. I mean, listen, you remember them videos you did back in the day when obviously when you first was even on the platform, you know, you immediately stood out because you just broke down all like the content creators or community figures or whatever at the time. And to be honest, what you said about me,
that's how I kind of go to know you and Alex, isn't it? Because I made a video on you guys.
Of course. And you know, if people wondering how did Matisse do what he did, listen, when you do things outside the books and you know, you got an idea, you're gonna make it work for yourself. But I remember you even saying, bro, you know, Nini, it was someone I clocked that, you know, he'll talk to a big account how he talks to a small account. There's no like judgment there. He's not treating anyone different because it's like, I don't care. I don't care if you got 90,000 followers or you got 10, 12 followers. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you outside. That's what I thought social media was about. But I realized very quickly on that I was absolutely wrong. And so I'm in the fool of myself at times. I'll be real with you. I got a little bit of a temper when I'm seeing that there's nonsense.
These men were trying to draw you out. They're trying to draw you out. They know you got a temper. They're like, yo, let me draw him out and see what we can do.
I know.
They want.
The amount of scolding I used to get from like
Screenshot
my dad and stuff for moving like that too, and my sister as well. She was scolding my ass while I was moving. But no, it's funny, man. But yeah, you know, this has been a nice little discussion. You know,
ready for this Tammy Abraham plus social media discussion.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Tammy versus, you know, Chelsea online conduct fan talk. Yeah, I think it's something that needs to be spoken about. You know, I'd like to see the perspective behind everything, and of course, for me, it's not all terrible. I think my main thing I notice is just that the vocal minority just never get challenged by anyone else. No one ever says anything, or it's just like, oh, you know, ignore these guys. You know, if you support Tammy Abraham, you know, like this tweet or retweet or whatever. You don't really see that type of stuff, which I thought was the point of social media, to be honest. You know, we've got a sick opportunity where you can fully interact with the players. You can at them, you can do
and do you know what's really unique that we take for granted is these players are kind of a lot of the same age as the guys on Twitter. You know, they're not much. They might be a bit older. Then, you know, a lot of these guys are the same age as me or a couple of years younger. There's actually a real opportunity to interact here, and
on a real level too.
Spoiling it. Do you know what I mean? You might be spoiling it for yourself.
Because I feel like fundamentally, like, I don't know, it's like, I guess it's about like just like finding yourself, like being true to yourself and stuff. I do feel at times, and I've experienced this myself too. Yeah. Where I've been a season ticket holder for many years. I had to sadly give that up. It still hurts, the pain. Even like outside the games, like just seeing how, you know, obviously I'm always humbled by like people recognizing me and stuff like that. But because it's never really been me, every time someone looks at me and, you know, they're like looking at you for like 5 seconds, I'm thinking in my head, okay, if I say hi, am I going to be arrogant for assuming that they know me from YouTube type of thing? You know what I mean? So it was just funny just seeing that type of like awe in people's eyes. I'm thinking, please, I'm not the guy to be having no awe with whatsoever. I don't market myself like that. I don't call any of you guys and watch me fans, because you shouldn't be fans of me. You're just, you know, you're subscribers. You know, you like the content, the discussion, and, you know, the discussion you can have with your friends, your family. That's how I like it to be, you know. And I just think that, you know, people kind of just take this social media stuff too serious, from these big accounts that are just doing not anything to get consistent interactions daily, as if they have to fill quotas from some company to get paid to have a meal and a bed to sleep at the end of the night. To the kids who, you know, any madness that happens, straight shouting and, hate. Like,
Barbers and
come on,
whatnot. It's all
man.
mad, bro.
Come
And,
on,
and
it's so
I'm no
mad.
saint, do you know what I mean? I've maybe been too harsh on players criticizing them, but directly like calling them shit and acting like
Oh.
atting them or DMing their dad. I mean, like X photos and comps. Like comps people forget comps take a long time to make. Not a lot of time, man. Takes a long time to make a comp.
A long time. And that guy yesterday, the Tammy one was quick, bruv. Yeah, it was very quick when he made that Tammy one. It's just like, he was, you know what that told me? Straight away, just due to how quick it was that this guy didn't watch the game. This guy was just
Tammy.
Yeah, he was just making the video to get ready. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
I mean, it's funny because people will say, oh, when you're putting out a video, you know, you're taking it too seriously, or it takes 2 minutes for me to put my phone down and talk. But for you to make a whole comp, that takes hours. Do you know what I mean? That's editing. That's
cutting that stuff down. You're rendering. You're doing all that type of stuff. You're really dedicated to. You know, there's propaganda. Like, wow.
Don't estimate who's really taking that platform seriously, people. I'm telling you.
Real talk, man. Real talk. But obviously, you know, I don't think social media is all bad. I think there's been, you know, many like great things about it. But I just only thing that is a bit frustrating is that when we don't get the result that we all hope for, because I say hope because we don't deserve it all the time, because anything can happen in football to stop you getting a win.
Game, man. It's not like we drew 0-0 to some dead team. We drew 0-0 I mean, I wanted to win.
Like it's Tottenham. You know what I mean?
They're a good team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we were so sick, that Tottenham didn't even attack the second half. They were too worried.
Target between Son and Kane.
That's what I mean. Like how you. We're not getting enough credit. Like I was on the 90-minute thing earlier today too, and I can even sense that a lot of people don't really clock what's happening with our club right now, how we're playing, how we're moving and stuff. So I feel like we're quite dark horses in a way.
Yeah, we are, man. 2 points off the top of the league. Do you know what I mean? For me, you know, for us to go into that game as well, you know, granted we didn't win, but we came in with our formation this time. We didn't change the three at the back or any of this extra stuff. We came in with our plan. You know, we tried to take the game to them in that second half. We couldn't finish the chances, but it's you know, we have to understand that we are seeing progression very clearly. Do you know what I mean? And I think you look at clubs like Arsenal, you look at clubs like Man United, they're not really seeing progression. Do you know what I mean? And we actually are. So we have to remember that it is a journey. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing it, but at least you're actually seeing clear signs of progression. You're not having to make it up as you go along. You can clearly see the difference between the team that had to set up shop against Sevilla and the team that drew 0-0, same scoreline but different approach. So you have to give credit where it's due. Moving forward,
real talk. I think that's just the best way to just end this, to be honest. Everyone that's watching, I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, get involved in the conversation. It'll be really interesting to read, you know, people's thoughts and opinions and how they feel about maybe the criticism that players receive. You know, how the contact is from the fan base online that's, you know, sometimes harassing, targeting us very own players that we're then hoping are going to be the ones to score goals for us, and then when they don't do it because they're feeling, you know, that lack of confidence of the fan base being on their back, then we send even more hate to just ruin even more. So it's not adding up to me, you guys. But again, this is a discussion for everyone to get involved in, and it'd be amazing to read your thoughts and opinions. So, man, on that note, of course, being a busy day of content today, I hope you guys have enjoyed it all. Matisse, man, you know, plug away, my friend, plug away.
My guys, you already know. I mean, before we used to come on here and push the Twitter, we don't do that no more. It's all about the YouTube, baby. That's where everything goes. That's my pride and joy. You know what I mean? YouTube has been something I've been trying to get onto for time, and now 3 weeks ago we finally did it. So if you could subscribe to the YouTube, you know, check out the videos. It's basically daily content. We're trying to do different things. I think I'm going to be outside for a preview. Maybe by the time you watch this, the preview's already gone up for the Sevilla game.
Okay, let's go.
And yeah, man's always doing something different on that channel. You know what I mean? I've got my best friend cameraman dashing biscuits and me and whatnot in the last review. So it's wild. It's wild.
Anything goes, I guess. But you guys, on that note, I mean EFC. This is Blue Line CV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. See you guys in a bit, man.